going to show you guys a quick trick using a tool called Image Trace in Illustrator. And this is kind of, I feel like it's almost like cheating. Like you can take any photo and turn it into an illustration. So I'm going to show you some of the limitations of this. So it's a really simple tool to use, but it's also, has its, there's only so much that you can do with it. So for this assignment, I would love for you guys to pull up a portrait of yourself, and then you can also use anybody else's portrait. Just for demonstration purposes, I chose Mona Lisa, which obviously is not a photograph, it's a painting, so it's going to react a little bit different than a photograph, but pretty similar. So go ahead and you can pause this video, find a photo of yourself or of another person. Just try to keep it to one person, and try to find an image that has a kind of blurry background or a solid background. That will help as well. So if you already have it open, it's called Image Trace. If you don't, there's a window called Image Trace. If you just go to Window at the top, and then you'll see this right here where it says Image Trace, and then it'll pull up something like this here. It might not have the advanced on there, but basically there are several options you can play around with. This is one of those things where there's not like a step-by-step thing. You just have to play around with the adjustments until it looks the way you want it to look, just depending on your image. So there are these little icons up here that give you a few suggestions. So auto color, high color, meaning like it will still keep most of the integrity of the image, the photograph. Low color, a little bit less, and then grayscale, black and white, and then outline. I haven't honestly had a whole lot of luck with this outline feature, but if you have, say, a vector image that you accidentally saved as a JPEG and you don't have the original AI file or the vector file available, this tool might be helpful for something like that. But for photographs, these tools here in the middle are probably the best. So just to give you some ideas of what this tool will do, I'm going to click on high color, and if you have this preview box open, it will preview every single time you click on something. So first click on the image that you want to image trace, and then I'm going to click on high color, and it's going to preview for us what it looks like. So keep in mind, this is a photograph of a painting. And now that it's done, you can see it kind of still looks the same, but if you zoom in, you'll notice that it has turned this photograph into little shapes of various colors. So it's not quite as interesting just like it is, just because you want it to kind of look, if you're going to turn a photograph into an illustration, you kind of want it to look like an illustration. So there are some adjustments you can make. You can try the low color, which is going to do the exact same process but with larger illustration shapes, larger paths and anchors. And you see how the paths and anchors change to a lower number, and then the colors are a little bit, not quite as many colors, and you can see the shapes are just a little bit larger in her face. And grayscale, that's what grayscale looks like. Pretty much the same, but just obviously grayscale. And then black and white. I'm going to actually use the black and white for this demonstration. So you see this threshold little guy right here. That is just showing that there are, the threshold is higher and it's going to be more detailed. Black and white, it's a little bit weird. Sometimes it just looks all black when you go higher on the threshold. like that, or you can go less. And for this one, I'm just going to focus on her eyes, making sure her eyes look pretty clear. Actually, I'm going to try black and white, because still the grayscale, because still the black and white is not quite clear in her face. So again, this tool is made to just kind of like, you know, really just make the adjustments based on how you enjoy what you're really looking for. So that's 32, and generally an illustrated image is probably close to 6 to 12 as far as the numbers of gray areas. So yeah, that looks, I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more. I'm going to try 12 and see what happens there. Because her lip just needs a little bit more definition. Yeah, that looks better. So now that I have the illustration I want, I can actually change these colors, and I can actually delete this background from her face if I want to. So in order to do that, I'm gonna just move this window out of the way, and it's not doing that little lock. There it goes. Move that out of the way, and okay, go to properties, and then once you're on properties, click on this image right here, make sure it's selected, and you'll notice that there's a little option for expand. If you don't have that on your on this version, whatever version you're using, you can go to the help and just type in expand, and it will show you where that is. And you'll see that you can see all of the outlines once I hit expand. Now right now they're all grouped together, so I can't select each one individually. So I'm going to ungroup these by selecting ungroup button. And then you can see where I can actually select anything I want. So I'm going to just, you know, do a rough, like getting rid of the background here by selecting as much as I can and hitting the delete button. The same here, delete. Oh, got rid of her shirt too much. Let's try that again. So yeah, so you can see I can kind of quickly get rid of a lot of this stuff behind her just by selecting more than one group. And then you can actually change the color. Obviously this will take you a little bit more time, but you can change the color of each of these groups. And keep in mind, you can hold down the shift key if you want to make a little bit quicker. So you see this shade of gray, this shade of gray. I can click on all of those at the same time. And then I can go into my color, which says question mark right now, and find a color that I feel like is kind of part of the color palette I'm going for. So obviously this will take a little bit more time, but this is just like a nice feature so you can really take a photograph and make it your own. And the really great illustrations look, you see how these are all different shades of gray. So if I'm really going to work on this, I'm going to look for kind of similar values but in a different color. So, you know, starting with light and then beige and then go from there. And you know, I can make her hair purple, whatever you want to do, whatever your goal is for illustration. But that's a quick way to turn a photograph into an illustration without having to draw it from scratch.